Okay, well, happy crispy Monday morning to you all. It's about 28 degrees in Katy, and I'm going to do a cold startup routine on the Navi carbureted bike. So we're going to see how it deals with below freezing temperatures on a Kickstart this morning. We're going to do the Kickstart instead of cheating and using the electric. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, here we go. First things first, fuel. Second thing, set the choke. I already did that. Start run, on, and let's see if it kicks over in less than 10 tries. Ooh, hey, compression. 2 kicks, 3 kicks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Not doing it. So let's see what the starter says. Oh, so the starter caught it, didn't quite fire it. Now let's try to continue with the Kickstart. Ooh, 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 ooh. Putter, putter, putter. There we go. So I was right. It takes about a dozen or so kicks. Carbureted bike, empty fuel bowl. So that was a cold start with an empty carburetor. Not bad though. I mean, that's pretty much worst case scenario. If you left it outside for several days and your battery died in the freezing temps. If you got a good battery, obviously the electric start is the way to go. So I'm gonna let it warm up a second. Drink my coffee, warm up my hands here because it's pretty nippy out here. And once it gets up to operating temperature, I will run it down the street and back and make sure that it doesn't have any low throttle hitches or anything like that once it's off choke. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see the steam on the coffee, but it's chilly out here. Because it's so cold this morning, I'm going to let it run on choke for at least a minute or two. I'll wait until it actually starts to labor because of the choke. I'll turn it down only when the engine starts to bog because it's so rich. Pretty typical routine for a carbureted bike. Automatic fuel enrichment and idle control takes care of it on a fuel injected bike, but you are the computer in the case of a carburetor. Okay, I'm starting to hear the idle fluctuate a little bit, so that probably means it's warmed up enough that I can drop this. It's been about 3 minutes. Yeah, it got happier when I reduced the choke a little bit there. Okay, seems to be idling. Let's see how it goes. A little bit hitchy on the... yeah. Nope, she's not ready to run yet. So 3 minutes on choke at just below freezing weather, and it doesn't like it. So we're going to go back to about 2/3 choke there. Let's use the Kickstarter again. Why not? Nope. Still not quite happy. Nope, doesn't like that. Let's go half choke. There we go. Well, we'll just leave her on full choke for a little bit longer. And of course, keep in mind, this is only going to be a situation that you deal with if you're wanting it to warm up before you ride. As long as you get it on choke for, you know, a minute or so and get everything circulated and ready to run, you can get on it, start riding, take it off of choke as you're rolling. And, you know, obviously, riding is going to generate a lot more heat quickly. Can't tell if that is smoky or if it's steam. Nah, it's just steam. It's running rich, obviously, on choke. And I think this carburetor mix is a little off. pretty sure this thing is running rich. And that's been kind of the discussion in the forums, and I've been getting comments from people in India that are very familiar with these Navis from the Indian market, and they said that when they're delivered from the factory, the air fuel mixture, oh, see, it just choked again. The air fuel mixture is set rich for break-in to help, keeping the engine cool during break-in. More fuel means cooler. Lean or less fuel makes an engine run hot, and that's how you burn up your engine. So in the case of this one, I think it's running just a tad too rich because it's causing the low idle stumble and stuff like that when it's cold. So after it warms up, I haven't had any problems with the idle when I bumped the idle stop about one turn clockwise. So that brought it up from where it was set at the factory that was causing all of my stumbling issues. And it was stumbling, and it died on me a couple times just pulling up to stop signs. So obviously the carburetor is just a little bit misadjusted on this one, but it's not hard to make these adjustments. You just make little adjustments at a time and keep track of what you've done so you can revert. Now, during the first 600-mile service, I don't know what the dealer's checklist is for the service items. I do have a copy of the service manual now that was circulating all over the internet. I believe it's for the Indian market, and it's the NVA 110G. This is the B, as in Bravo. So anyway, slightly different bike. It doesn't have the manual, doesn't have the CBS. It's got a proper rear brake lever and different lighting controls. It's got on-off switch, but that's not legal here in the U.S. The headlights always got to be on. So in that service manual, they may have the 600-mile initial service checklist. I'll go down that and find out if the air-fuel mixture is one of the things that's changed during that dealer service. In the United States, the air-fuel mixture screw is always capped off with a semi-permanent plug. In the case of the Navi, I don't know if I can get in here. I'll take a better still picture and show it to you. Just to the left of the idle stop screw with the spring on it, there is a brass cap that's covering the air-fuel mixture. So that's an emissions-controlled item in the United States, and Honda and the government doesn't want you messing with it, but obviously you're going to have to change your AF ratio based on altitude and things like that. And if indeed the 600-mile service calls for adjusting that, then the dealers are going to have to drill that out and either replace the little brass cap or just leave it open. So anyway, let's start it up again, see what it does. So full choke. We'll let it run a minute. Oh, another thing that people mentioned in the comments is it was stalling out because I've got the brake set and I'm not letting the rear wheel spin. Well, that's going to be the situation if you're sitting still at a stop sign, right? Even Honda recommends setting the brake whenever it's up on the center stand, just in case it were to come down off of the center stand. It wouldn't rock it away, it would just tip over. So just reduced the choke by, I don't know, maybe an eighth right there. Brought the idle right back up. So it's stuttering because of the choke, and then it leans out as I go off choke, but air fuel is still pretty rich on it. Yeah, so I don't know. I still have mixture issues with this one. I'm not disappointed in the bike. It's just something to tweak. So anybody that gets one of these and it's misbehaving like this, you might want to return to your dealer and say, hey, this is acting up. It's not behaving itself even after running on choke for a few minutes. And I'll bet there'll be some TSBs or service bulletins that come out on this where the dealers need to get in there and mess with the air-fuel ratio just a little bit, because I know that mine is running way rich, richer than a normal break-in routine would call for. And again, the stalling out like this is not going to be an issue if you're going, moving around. It could stall on you at a stop like it's done for me, so it just stalled again. Well, the idle saga continues. Let's try again. All right. Full choke. Runs okay. And then as it starts to sputter, it's because the enricher circuit is giving you a little too much fuel and possibly a little too little air. I haven't looked at the exploded diagram of this carb yet. I don't believe that it has a choke plate. Traditional ones with a lever on the side, that's a choke plate where it closes the venturi to starve air flow, and that effectively raises your fuel ratio and makes the engine easier to start when it's cold. More modern carburetors, probably including this one, have an enricher circuit, which is a plunger that opens a secondary fuel path out of the bowl of the carburetor and allows more fuel to get into the airstream through the venturi. Most vacuum style, CV style, or constant velocity carburetors use that. Okay, so it's laboring because of too much fuel. Let's give it a little less fuel, a little more air. Okay, but then now it's found another equilibrium where it's not quite happy. Yeah, see? Stutter, stutter, stutter. Yeah. So mine is definitely running rich. I mean, it's obviously going to run rich when I've got the choke engaged, but I don't know. I'll play with it. I'm going to finish drinking my coffee here real fast, start it up again, and I'm going to run it up and down the street, and then I'll do another quick little video of it sitting here and show you the idle after it's been run around for a mile, and see how that goes. Another little note while I'm standing here staring at it, waiting for it to hiccup. When you're messing with your idle on a scooter because of a CVT drive, you don't want your idle to be so high that you're starting to engage your clutch while you're sitting still. So you have to be careful to not raise it so much that the bike wants to go when it's not meant to go. In other words, you're sitting there, the brake's not engaged. It almost died. Brake's not engaged, and it's trying to pull away because you're slightly engaging the clutch. The more important thing there is you don't want the clutch to be always partially engaged, because that's how you burn it up or you glaze your clutch plates. So if you bump up your idle, just bump it up enough to where it's not quite engaging. Those hiccups and stumbles that you hear where it coughs and almost dies out, that's because it's too rich. There it is. It's just too rich. Standing here next to it with it off of choke, it smells like it's running on full choke right now. So yeah. Ooh, that seat's cold. No safety gear and no warm gear. Woohoo, it's cold. So it's running fine off choke. It just doesn't want to idle. Now that will improve. It's either, I don't know if you heard that, that was that hiccup. Right off of idle, it'll sputter and then go. So it's a mixture issue. Oh yeah, my hands are freeze dried already. I love how smooth this thing rides. The powertrain on it is very smooth, very, very, very smooth. It's just electric feeling. It's great. Very little engine vibration too. Oh yeah, it's cold. My eyes are watering, and that's gonna freeze on my cheeks. Woo! Hey, nice double parking. Okay, now my face is starting to hurt. Woo, this is cold. Our wind chill this morning, or the feels like temperature was, I don't know, 24. Add this wind chill to it, it's low teens. Woo. crap, it's cold. Whoa, I'm ready to get out of this. Woo. Oh goodness, I am frozen. Watch out, Grace, it's coming to get you. Yeah, it's trying to die again. So I can bump up my idle a little bit more, but then once it's fully running and warm, it's going to probably idle high. I mean, that was about a mile ride right there. It's thinking about idling. It's also thinking about dying. Oh, my hands are cold. Woo! So this is still a new bike. I've got 29 miles on the clock. It's still very fresh, but these little issues might put somebody off from buying it. I hope not. I hope I can get this resolved, and it's just little minor, hiccups for my unit. Maybe this particular bike is just a oddball, and the other ones out there are going to run fine, but you just heard that hiccup again. So it does that periodically until it's been run for long and hard for a good 5 minutes. So I think that's just a fuel mixture issue. So once this thing gets up around 300 miles, I will either do the service early and ask the dealer to check that, or I'll just pull out that little brass plug and start messing with the AF ratio. The service manual that I have does list the air, fuel, and idle set procedures. It's a little bit convoluted with these CV type carbs, so it's 1 3/4 turns out from the stop. So you basically screw the thing all the way in, back it out 1 3/4 turns, and then you have to disconnect the pair valve, which is the auxiliary air for emissions. You got to disconnect that and block it off, and then you monkey with your idle and start playing with the AF screw to maintain. Oh, see, it just died again. You mess with the AF ratio and the idle to get a 1700 RPM idling, give or take 100 RPM, and once you find that equilibrium, you just leave it there, and from that point you can raise or lower your idle stop, but it's critical to get the AF ratio and the engine running healthy before you go messing with the idle. So in this case, I know that it's running rich. It's very obvious it's rich, and that's causing the idle stumbling, so I don't mind raising the idle to get above that stumble point. So anyway, long story short, this is probably a unique issue with my Navi. I always seem to get the fun cases, but it's all fixable. I'm not concerned about it. If this were my primary transportation, I might be a little bit miffed, but it's a fun bike for me. It's cheap, and I'm not concerned. This is easy to fix. It's just going to take a little bit of tinkering and some patience. And if I can't get it dialed in where it needs to be, then obviously I'll take it to the dealer out there where I purchased it and have them play with it. Maybe open a service case with Honda, and Honda might have some guidance. But these are really popular bikes in India and Mexico, all through Latin America, so they've got a long track record, and I'm sure there's plenty of information out there regarding this issue. I'm certainly not the first person to run into this. So anyway, there's Navi on a freezing cold morning.